This is Skirmish League Live.
Worms. The Juggernaut come anew. SM has taken the helm of this mighty warship and is steering these would-be playoff contenders to championship contention. Do they have what it takes to stay the course?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Juggernaut, emphasis on the not, NOT roster here, and they do have good players. Worms finally realized that they can't rest on their players of old Juggernaut, and they had to get more players. And I do realize that Legacy and Ernie played on Juggernaut before, but they realized their Worms base couldn't win, never made the playoffs. So last season they sold their souls and got Staley, Legacy, and Ernie, and then this season they pick up TG, and I do think they'll probably get the 3 seed. I wouldn't be completely surprised if Rejects beat them and got the 3rd, but and they could lose to Pam Goes Ham depending on who shows up. But I see their starters as being Harley, and he's going to Marine this season, and he should because he's better than most of the Marines on the squad. So I see Harley, Legacy, SM, Splitta, Tactical, and TG as Marine, and then Slobko as Medic. And this is exactly why B-May needs to join BLNT.
I see Worms as a good squad. I disagree with Mecca on a lot of his points. I think Worms could probably be number 1 this season. Picking up Gift, I mean, they're just solid all around. They have good Marines. They have good medics. Picking up Gift was huge for them because I just think he fills a big hole in their lineup that they had from seasons past. Don't be surprised if these guys get the number 1 seed this season because they have a lot of firepower on the squad and they work really, really well together. At least in the SBs that I've seen and the ones that I've played in, their focus fire and everything like that is really good. Maybe I'm hyping them up too much, but I think they're real contenders this season to be able to win the ring. Worms, I think, have finally solved the secret to success. It's just to keep that stable core together and to bench hop and R. And that's exactly what they've done. If they can do that the whole season, they're going to blow people out. Don't be surprised if they win this season.
I hear what you're saying about a lot of those points. And Yosh, like you, I don't want to hype them up too much, but I kind of agree with a lot of your analysis there. I do think that I think they're top 3 right now. I think that they are, that lineup, they have a severe drop-off after the front 8, actually after the front 7. But the front 7 are crazy good. I mean, Secret Marine, Splitta, Tactical, Gift, like you said, Harley, and Bronco, and Legacy. I mean, those 7 right there, I'll put them against anybody. I think that would be you're going to get a lot more wins than losses with that roster, and I think that's the way it's going to work out in the league too. I mean, if Splitta shows up and he's consistent and keeps leading these guys, I think they've got a real shot at upward mobility in this league. And I'm not sure if they're first place, Yosh, but I think damn good contenders. I'm not sure how it's going to. The Browntown game versus Worms is definitely a good one. I'm going to want to see, and Crisis v Worms will be fantastic games to watch. I think if they're early on in the season, we'll know a lot about what's going to happen in the season from those games. And if some of those players are missing, though, those top 7, like I said, you got a steep drop off, and putting in Bime or Kaga's probably not showing up. But R's going to play in most of those games. And then you go to Keystone, people like that. I mean, they'll do okay for you, but I don't think it's going to be. It's not the same quality from your substitutes, and I don't think they're anything necessarily that special. But the core roster of Worms is a contender, and I'm personally going to give them probably right now just based on the starters, I'm looking at an 8.
See, my biggest problem with Worms is leadership. When Splitta doesn't show, it's SM leading, and I think SM leads no matter what, actually. But SM's leadership doesn't, it's kind of like Dave and Rejects. It doesn't work for the squad, because SM plays a passive game. If you watch them at all last season, the reason they lost in the playoffs is because they were so passive. And they're going to have one of the better rosters in the league, and he's still going to be passive this season. I'm not quite understanding it. And another big problem I see is TG on this squad. TG's a great player, but I don't think he fits on the squad. TG is too aggressive to play with this playstyle. Because if you put TG on flank with like Legacy and Splitter or something like that, he's gonna push past them and die because the Legacy just won't push. And I see chemistry issues, but even though that is present, they're just the other squads are also just have their own problems. So I don't see that being that big of a problem, but I do see that they're probably 1, 2, or 3. I think, like I said, 1, 2, and 3 is all going to be 5 and 2, so it's not actually going to matter, I don't think. But I give them probably an 8 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give them an 8. I think if you put Gift with Bime, they're gonna destroy people. They both play pretty
If Bime
similar.
plays.
I think Bime should play on this team.
Over who?
I
Just
think
do-
R's going to play, but I think probably
should play
over R.
yeah, he
would
should play
probably be
over
my
R.
choice.
But R won't start. If they have an ideal lineup, Bime's not in it. If they show.
That's a good point.
So we're saying about an 8. That
Yeah,
sounds
about an
right.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got our top 3. Let's just
Join
this
BLT,
is the
B-Man.
last one. Let's run through what we think here. Just make sure we got an agreement here. I think we pretty much got an agreement that Browntown, Crisis, and Worms are fighting it out for the top spot. I think probably I lean right now towards Browntown. What about you guys?
I'm gonna actually go the reverse. I think Browntown's gonna be number 2 or 3. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of be the outlier here and say Worms takes number 1. I'm a big believer this season. It's probably gonna burn me, but I believe.
Depending on who else we pick up, I see. Like I said, I think it's going to be a 3-way tie for first. I think everybody beats everybody in the top 3, and then you have Rejects and Pam, and then the other squads.
Who do you guys see as a dark horse contender? Yosh?
Worms has to be Worms. I see them as a dark horse. Everyone thinks they're gonna get 2 or 3, but I think they're gonna get number 1. As far as dark horse, I think the playoff spots are pretty solid. I mean, you're gonna have Crisis, you're gonna have Browntown, you're gonna have Worms, and then you're gonna have Dave. I don't think Pam Goes Ham makes playoffs this season.
I'm going to have to give Dark Horse to my squad because nobody ever believes in us, and somebody has to.
With I think of Dark Horse as somebody that gets a lot more wins than you think they're going to. I think that the Rejects, the way they look right now, I was kind of undervaluing them before. I think depending on who they have show up, I think they could easily be the third best team in the league, depending on how they play.
No way.
They could go anywhere from third best to 6th,
Nope.
depending on
No
how they play.
way.
In my mind,
No way.
I don't see it.
we'll see. That's my dark horse. It's a dark horse. It's a
All right.
prediction.
Well, if we're
That's
gonna go
that's what I see.
based on your
Um,
definition of dark horse, then mine is going to be Hypocrites. I think they win 2 games this season.
Mine, if we're doing that for Dark Horse, I go Pam Goes Ham. Because I think Pam Goes Ham can be Rejects, and I think they will. And I think Rejects probably, if they do lose to Pam Goes Ham, they're not going to beat Worms, Crisis, or Browntown. And if they do, they're going to beat the bottom 3 and win again, or lose against the top 3. So Rejects is pretty much locked in 4 for me.
Well, let's give the real dark horse award right now to BLNT, because if we show up with a team, that's a miracle now.
I'll agree with that.
That is all we have for you guys today. Looking forward to the kickoff of season 6. I want to thank Mecca. I want to thank Yosh. Stay tuned for more broadcasts, and also a special thank you to Albert for recording today's show and for editing it all up. Until next time, you've been listening to Skirmish League Live.